announcing new guidelines for every American to follow over the next 15 days as we combat the virus. Each and every one of us has a critical role to play in stopping the spread and transmission of the virus. For my administration is recommending that all Americans, including the young and healthy, work to engage in schooling from home when possible, avoid gathering in groups of more than 10 people, avoid discretionary travel, and avoid eating and drinking at bars, restaurants, and public food courts. If everyone makes this change or these critical changes and sacrifices now, we will rally together as one nation and we will defeat the virus, and we're going to have a big celebration all together. With several weeks of focused action, we can turn the corner and turn it quickly. A lot of progress has been made. I'm also pleased to report today that a vaccine candidate has begun the phase 1 clinical trial.
The stock market took another hit today. Is the U.S. economy heading into a recession?
Well, it may be. We're not thinking in terms of recession. We're thinking in terms of the virus. Once we stop, I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand, both in terms of the stock market and in terms of the economy. And once this goes away, once it goes through and we're done with it, I think you're going to see a tremendous surge.
Does the buck stop with you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10. I think we've done a great job. And it started with the fact that we kept a very highly infected country, despite all of even the professionals saying, no, it's too early to do that. We were very, very early with respect to China, and we would have a whole different situation.
So it looks like the penny has finally dropped in the US, where even uber-skeptic President Trump has finally had someone read the writing on the wall to him, with the US appearing to start to swing firmly in the right direction, though as the graph illustrates, the damage is likely already done. So the US will pay a heavy price for presidential, congressional and CDC negligence that borders on criminal, where the US wasted the whole of February. The US could have nipped this in the bud, but as I repeatedly suggested was possible during February, but instead supreme arrogance in monitoring and capability reigned supreme until the stock market started discounting the trend trajectories that were starting to unfold. Remember that the stock market discounts the future. It's not going to wait for 100,000 deaths before it takes a nosedive, as we have witnessed take place during March. This extensive analysis that concludes in a detailed coronavirus trend forecast for the US and UK, followed by stock market implications, has first been made available to patrons who support my work. So for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, then do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work for just $3 per month. So will the US authorities finally act in time to save America from the catastrophe the likes of which we are only seen in disaster movies, with the potential to be perhaps 100 times worse than September 11th? At least that was limited to just one day. This is going to be like September 11th every other day in terms of economic consequences. In determining how bad things are and how bad they are likely to get, then I turn to my US trend forecast of 29th of Feb, which modelled US being competent in handling the pandemic and thus resolving toward an outcome similar to that of South Korea rather than China's. Forecast expectations for a trend to 13,000 infected by the end of March, resulting in about 180 deaths, which was expected to deliver a bear market of sorts, resulting in a buying opportunity for my top 14 AI sector stocks. However, with each passing day and coronavirus trend update, I increasingly became alarmed by what was unfolding, which was turning out to be many times worse than forecast, primarily due to Western arrogance that mature democracies were far more capable of handling a little bug than a totalitarian state such as China, but instead of acting, did nothing. The latest data shows that both US infections and deaths are now going ballistic on an infinitely steeper trend trajectory than forecast, with little sign that measures enacted today are having any impact, which does not bode well for the rest of March, April or May. In terms of trend trajectories, US infections of 22,813 or 700% of forecast, which, as I warned a week ago, suggested to expect over 40,000 infected by the end of March. However, what's even more worrying are the number of deaths, where 288 is now 600% of forecast, or where the US should be by now, were it handling the pandemic in a competent manner, which now suggests to expect over 1,000 deaths before the end of March. That's in just 10 days' time. And the trajectory suggests far worse to come for April. My new trend forecast has been generated and first made available to patrons who support my work. So consider becoming a patron, to get that. Which forecasts infections and deaths into the end of April, by which time hopefully there will be some good news if we see the actual trend converge towards and below my forecast, and thus be less catastrophic than what today's trend suggests. If we continue on this path, then there would be more than 2 million US deaths by the end of April. No, this is not my forecast. Rather, it's the current trend trajectory that would likely moderate as the US government panics to act to quarantine and slow down the rate of spread of the virus, which has gone ballistic. And if that was not bad enough, today we had the shocking news out of Italy that saw 793 deaths in one day. A warning of what can happen, even if you delay taking firm actions by just a few days, which both the US and UK are guilty of, who basically did nothing for the whole month of February, then dilly-dallied for the first couple of weeks of March. Too little, too late is going to cost lives. And the rest of this extensive analysis that concludes in a detailed coronavirus trend forecast for both the US and UK, which is followed by stock market implications, has first been made available to patrons who support my work. So, for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work, because there is a silver lining in this dark cloud, which you'll find out if you subscribe. And do remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos in this series as we face the oncoming coronavirus storm. The next 3 weeks are not gonna be good. They're gonna be catastrophic.